Hey guys, hi Mark. Peter and Stuart. Dan Shed, g'day. Yeah, sorry, we got some 3D print. Is that noise going to annoy everyone? It's got 2 more minutes left or 1 more minute left. I was going to have it done. Anyway. It's hotter than hell, yeah, it's warm. There's all sorts of stuff happening here. I spent most of the day in bed. I sort of called in a sick day and probably needed it. It wasn't real crash hot this morning. It's pretty warm here too. Good evening, Matt. Wonder where you got to this week. What happened this weekend? Oh, I don't know. Work Saturday, as normal. Sunday went down to Dan's, took the last bits of the portable engine we bought. If you don't know about the portable engine, it's probably best you don't, so we'll just gloss over that. But there is a portable engine, and we went down to Dan's. I went down to Dan's and took the old boiler barrel and the old inner firebox. Tea and biscuits, g'day. Matt's called in. He's at West Wyalong. That sounds like a great spot. He's not seen any Yowies apparently. Saturday, Sunday afternoon, stopped for a very, very basic dinner and went before sunset. That was a bit awesome. It's good to catch up. It's nice to meet people. Anyone else is welcome to do the same. We didn't have anything in Steam, unfortunately, but we probably put him to work, which wasn't a real good thing, but we had fun. Definitely West Wyalong Bunyip country for sure. David, good morning. There you go. What machine tools? He's got a lot of worn out stuff. No, not even. Anyway, so that was a fun Sunday. Monday I stopped around and painted the other side door on Dan's truck, on Dan's Bedford, because that should have probably been done quite some time ago. But we got there. Actually got that done. Sprayed some weeds and sort of took off for home about 1 o'clock. Got home about 10 o'clock. Gee, with a few stops on the way. Stopped and saw my mate Phil. Up at Bangalow. Bangalow. And stopped in again and saw John and dropped some stuff off at his place, which is Tallybudger Valley, which is over the border. So that was quite a Monday. I got home late. Tuesday I got some stuff done. Dan, you'll have to get in and give that a bit. It's still got some red pencil on that door. I'll get into it with a bit of terps next time I'm down there, and then you can rub it back and do what you like. unless you want to do it beforehand, because most of it will come off. 9 hour drive. It wasn't really a 9 hour drive. I had 3 or 4 hours at Phil's looking at his 1910 Argo. More about that soon. We're working on a project for that. That's what this is. Bit of a nightmare. Didn't bring all the bits in with me, probably. I'll have to go and get some in a minute. But, hey Raymond. So, I called in at John's, which was a 2-minute job, really. I didn't really. But I think I probably got lost going to Phil's and coming out of Phil's too. And I ended up at a place called St Helena on a dirt road coming out. And I ended up at a place called, I don't know where I ended up going in, but take one wrong turn and all the roads look the same. Not good with that. Anyway, got lost. No spoilers on the paint job yet. I didn't take a picture, to be honest. Should have probably, but I never. So, come home. Finish these. Tuesday, finish these. I was going to go up to Foundry, and Dallas rang to say that the guard pieces for the launch that I'm working on is cast, and some other bits and pieces that I left with him. So I've got to go and pick them up next week maybe. But this week I got in and finished these. They've got a thread on them. They're sort of all right. It's not the world's best thread. I'm suspicious that these may have been 55 degree and my thread cut is probably 60. Because I didn't think of that. But these have got threads in them. They're all together. Spring-loaded tops. Got to find some wool and stuff for them, and proper wicks in them. Put them all back together with a bit of thread tape. But they're finished. So that's a job actually finished. I'm pretty happy with that. They're ready to go back on. Bit decent. As per drawings, Whitworth spanner fits the top of them if you do get stuck and have to take them apart. I can't see that happening. But anyway, they're done. They work. Spring-loaded nozzles. I don't think there's any pressure in them. There's a bit of centrifugal force because they spin round, but they only hold oil, and this is just to stop it splashing, really. But as they are now, you can't blow back through them. And I'm not sure that's a good thing. I think they probably need some leaks so the oil disappears through here. Anyway, they just spin round. It's a total loss system anyway, so you just got to keep tapping them up. So they're done. Pretty happy with that. Matt, you're going to Dan's by the sound of it. Glad you made it. Got in, fixed this, ground these out, because that was a bit of a, these bolts wouldn't spin on here, so fix that. I'm just reading the chat. Anyway, I think they'll be fine. There's no hole on the drawing, but I don't know how good the caps are. TMB. I'm not sure that these are really sufficient, but they sort of, I mean, we'll see how they go. With decent wicks in them, they should be right. And centrifugal force sort of pushes oil through them too and out each end. See how that goes. So, threaded them with the lathe. This is, as it's been a work in progress that I've been ignoring for a little while. I printed this, right, against dire warning that it wouldn't work. A little bit of backlash in it. It's got nowhere near as much backlash in it as this one. Don't like this end here, really. I'm not in love with this coupling system. I'm not really in love with this. I'm sort of liking this. I think this has got potential. I've just got a plastic hole in there and a set screw, and it works on a pin. If anyone's really even interested, I've just put a pin in there, which is to get it going was just a plastic one. See? And that just fits on there like that. Now, what would be awesome is if this had a spring clip around it with a pin in it that clipped over the top into that hole, so you didn't have to put a screw in it. All you had to do was push it together and clip the clip on it. Now, that might be really nice, probably on both ends. I'd like to get rid of this square and put a proper spline in here. And I'd like to get rid of this great thing and do something better here. But it works for now. I also 3D printed a couple more change wheels because the old ones were only about, looks like they're about 10 or 15%, something like that, infill, and they just cracked. So they've done a bit of work for sure, but 12 TPI was obviously too much for them. But the other ones seem to stand up all right. Might make some steel ones for the smaller ones at some point, or cast iron. Don't know when I get there. So hopefully Matt doesn't need spares before he gets home anyway. The next job's these. Bit of a fun thing, I guess. They're going sort of double clones, which are the valves out of this pump. They're supposed to look something like this, right? And they actually look something like this. There's quite a bit of wear in the back here and everywhere else on the front. So and the problem is that even in the new seats, especially in the old seats, there's a bit of rock in them because they're not touching around here, so they don't actually work. So plotted these out. I guess this will work. Not really in love with this as a sin, but once I get into it, it'll be all right. This is probably overkill, but this is the length of the cut for every 0.1 of a millimetre till you get down to the middle, and that should give you the right curve. And we're doing both to that, so basically take the first, cut them down to size, and then take the first one off down to that length, and the next one to that one, and the next one to that one, and the next one to that one, etc., etc., in metric, until we get down to the actual diameter here, and then it's got a curve on the end. So that's how I'm going to attack that. Hey Randy. that's something I've done today. Actually, he's just sat down and drawn that out, curled up in bed and drawn it out. Hopefully that works, but that should give me the profile on the outside of the valve on this bit. And then we've got to do the same. I'll get that done on each end of the piece of bar and part them off. Then we'll turn them around and we'll chuck them on here, I think. And finish the inside the same somehow. Don't know. Giving it some thought. Not sure really. And they'll be done. But hopefully this next weekend I'll have them done. But that's something we're working on. So a bit of work in them. The seats not so much. The seats are pretty straightforward actually. There's a bit more bits in them, or more work, more cuts in them, and more features in them, but they're really not very difficult to make. You tack it in the right way around. We get that so that they sit on that seat nice. And drop them in. And do up the bolt on the side through that hole. They should be great. And then the limiters in that top taper. Don't know if we showed you this. Looks like this. Basically that sits here, and that limits the actual lift on there, and that runs in this here like that. So fun job. The other one's got one exactly the same. In fact, this part from here to here is exactly the same on the other one, except this one's got holes in it for the prime and tap, whereas the other one doesn't, but it's the same part basically. So get that going, this can all bolt back on then, pretty much. There's not much more to do. But got to get in and fix these. Got a piece of bronze set up in the lathe, ready to go, pretty much. I haven't drilled it yet. We'll put a centre in it, but we're going to machine one on this end and one on that end, cut them off, turn them around and machine the other bits, and then make the seats out of the rest. Make the seats out of the bit in the middle, or most of the bit in the middle. So we're sort of in the process there. That guard on the back is coming along nicely apparently. Haven't looked at it yet. I'm going to have to take it somewhere and get it digged up and then bolt it on when it's done. Be sort of nearly ready. Anyway, that's what's happening. I forgot one piece for this to show you, for show and tell. I'm going to go and grab it. Give me a second. Just talk amongst yourselves, guys. I'll put this down. to miss. I have a TIG, yeah, but I don't have any skills. That's where I'm at with that. I've got a mate who'll tick it up for a 50 and it'll be a good job. So, this belongs to a mate Phil, right? It's an impeller. There's a brass one that we had, but it spins the wrong way, apparently. Maybe it doesn't. Not sure about that. Not sure which way it spins. It's off a 1910 Argyle T-head motor. Very nice T-head motor with lots of brass on it. Very pretty thing. It's in a 4-seater Landau or Chevrolet or something. Horseless carriage. Very, very nice vehicle when he's done it. He spent a lot of time on it. But this is the impeller, which is made in France, and it's sort of it's a bit of a cow thing, actually, to be honest, to cast. So, in a last-ditch attempt, I've made this, which is a core or a copy of, they're going to make cores like this. Like 4 of, that fit in there like that. And give us basically if you put 4 of them in a hole with a pattern that's the same side as the outside, does that make sense? And drop 4 of them in the hole and then use a top flat box and a flat sand box on top. Close it up. I think maybe we'll get a pretty good casting, but we've got to make 4 cores like this. To give us a cavity. So this is what I've got. Right. It's not right yet. I'm going to have to print another one. It's a core box. Which has got a part just here, so it actually comes out. But it's not really the answer, I don't think. Because I'm not as convinced that it will come out. It will lift out if we take this off the outside. Requires a bit of a jigsaw puzzle at the moment. But it probably requires... See, there you go, look at that. How cool is that? Couple of rubber bands around there, or a band around it, or a hose clip or something. And a little bit of detail attention and stuff to reprint a couple of these bits so they actually fit. Then we should be able to cast up or make up 4 sodium silicate cores to fit this. And then, if all goes to plan, we should be able to take them out without damaging them, maybe, if this is a good fit. Like slide this out, take this off and this off. There we go. These are a bit tight for now, right? And we end up with a sand cord like this, with all these fancy shapes on it. Shouldn't be too much of a problem. And we can mould a hole in the sand. We can drop the 4 of them in upside down in the circle and pour the brass in the middle of them. Throw it away when we're done. So that's what I've sort of spent an inordinate amount of time this week on. Is basically this core box. Because, you know, There's not much else happening. So 4 of these should close up in here nicely and give us a decent cavity for pasting these. I'm suspicious that the old one's been forged. I'm not sure. Phil's a blacksmith and he knows about this stuff. He says it's probably not, but I'm suspicious that the original one was cast straight and then it was put on a jig and forged around here, because none of them are straight really. Don't know what caused that, but I think that's how it was made. Not sure. Anyway, that's how this one's going to be made. Does that make any sense at all? Probably. I'm not sure how well I've explained that. But these bits for the core box need a little bit more work, but that should be good. And we just basically, this is an ideal here where the two pieces fit together. There's too much of this rock. I think this needs to be longer here with pins down the back so it doesn't rock like that, so that when you push it together, maybe this needs to be longer here so that when you push it together it doesn't collapse like that, because the fulcrum point here on this is sort of this distance here is actually behind this one. Unless you hold this in place, it doesn't actually fill the space up properly. So, going to reprint these bits with some modifications. Probably going to leave this, I'm not sure. Probably going to reprint a lot of it, to be honest. But we've got a system that's probably going to work on about the 3rd prototype. Don't know if that makes any sense. It might be better to just make these with 2 screws that go in the side here. Couple of self-tappers in it, screw it up. Something a bit simpler than that would be easy and good, because you've got to make 4 of them. Anyway, that's something I've been working on, off and on. I've got nothing else to do, and thinking about fairly considerably for the last week. But I think we've got that sorted. This is another version that I cast with some. This won't fit on here. It's sort of almost wheel. It's a bit tight and a bit loose at the top. But this has got a bit of. This has got some pattern draft in it, and it's still almost impossible to get down the mould, I think. So we're going to give that one a miss. And hopefully, before too long, maybe before next week, I might even have one of these cast. I certainly have some bits here that are looking like it's going to work. Still got to make the pattern to put the indent in the sand for the cores. Still got to fix the core box. It's all got to have a coat of paint and stuff so nothing sticks to it. And we'll see how it goes. But all our spare time, that's another thing we're doing. Phil's doing a bit of blacksmith work for me, which is awesome. To do with the roller. He's a great guy. This will in no way pay for any of it, but he's a decent guy. And I really appreciate it. But he's making bands for the boiler cladding, for the roller, and new irons for the canopy because one of them's broken, or he's sorting out one that's broken. and you can get them back on. Like everything else that's ever been welded on the thing. They were originally forged up out of solid, but these were actually welded up at some point. And like everything else, the welds are not really as good as they could be. And why don't you just use 3D printer impeller? Probably could. The main problem is that it's got a screw in here, like it's 1/2 inch Whitworth probably, or something like that, and 12mm or 3/8 or something thread, and that's all that holds it on. It's just screwed on a thread. So I think it would probably eventually, the thread would go. This isn't really how it is. It's got a cutout in the bottom here, which is the water cavity. So there's pressure on the front and the back. I'm not sure, Dan, that it'd work. Thought about it. Nobody's going to see it, you're right. I thought about it. And probably in nylon you could, but there's no proper key in it or anything. It's only just screwed on. I don't know much about that. The brass thread insert would probably do it too. Anyway, what Phil wants for Phil gets, because Phil's making roller bits. Don't have a problem casting it. It's just thinking about how to do it. And once we've got all these bits made, in particular this core box, it won't be a big deal to cast them. Like, it really won't. You just got to sit down and think, I need a core box for that. I'm going to have to fix it properly, rather than mess around trying to fudge it up. But it should be a good job. Phil also gave me this, which is very nice. This is a filter and a foot valve. It's actually got a foot valve in it. The one on the roller doesn't, and it's been run over or squashed or something, and I think it's just machined up brass. This bit's not actually cast, but this is quite a nice one. It's got an adapter on there that's probably going to have to come out. To be honest, I'm still going to owe him some money, because me and Phil are trying very hard to come out in front on every deal, or come out behind, so we still got some barter ability for next time. But at this point, I'm coming out in front because I got this, and I reckon this is worth this casting. So we'll see how we go. This goes on the water lift hose on the roller. It's an Australian one, Warrnambool, Victoria. There you go. Aldrich. Alderdice. Alderdice? I think so. 1.5 inch. Warrnambool, W-Ball, Victoria. But anyway, that's much better than what's on it, so I'm pretty happy with that. So that's another score. So yeah, I don't mind putting the hard yards in on this impeller, and it's an interesting learning curve. I've learnt quite a lot already. Like, never ever do another one, but should be fun. Gosh, I don't know what else is happening. How did we get through all that? I thought it had heaps to show you this week. Heaps. Obviously not. Bit sort of limited, huh? Didn't get up the foundry, so all those bits are still there for next week. Got these threads cut, but they're not terrible threads. They just don't screw. They're a bit tight screwing in. There is a painting job, but it's done. And it's down at Fridges, and I didn't get a picture. There's this one here that's sort of still a work in progress. I haven't really attacked that. It's been either too wet or too hot. I'll get in and do a bit to that maybe this weekend if it cools down. So nothing really. There's a robot. At some point I should show you the robot, but it might be next week too. Joe's out there trying to surface grind. He's been letting a shark on his surface grinder and get it flat, but that's probably one of the trickiest jobs you could ever do, to be honest. So, on a surface grinder anyway. So he's given up, I think, for tonight. But he's done a few passes, and last one the wheel bogged up and took a deep cut on the last pass. And now he's got to start all over again. That's how surface grinders work. No progress on the lamps. I did buy 2 switches to put in the line so that we can just switch them on and off, because it looks like they're going to last longer than one night. So that's another job. Bench is a bit untidy, and I apologise for that. I was going to give it a good clean up, and then it wasn't terrible until I got all these jobs out to show you. Might print another one of these. I think this could benefit from a like a steel insert in this to go on the tube, and a groove in it, and probably rather than just press in, we could put 2 screws in it or something so that it looks nice and that goes up against the job. And the clip with a pin, if we made this a little bit longer and we put a groove in it for the clip, just clip over like a tool clip, like a Terry tool clip, that sort of style thing, but without the 2 little bits sticking out. So if you could get one without the coating or shape arrangement on top, so it just goes round, then you could just clip the pin in and click it over the top there, and it wouldn't move that way, it wouldn't come off, be easy to get off, and it'd be nice and secure and strong. So that's what I'm thinking there. This is just screwed in here. It's probably all right, and it probably won't ever come loose. It's got a couple of decent screws in it. Not really in love with it. This I've done years ago, 6 years according to my Facebook memories, with the square and the brass bush that fits it in the tube. Sort of works. What I'd like is a length of spline, like a 12, 15, 16 point spline or something, and a sliding bush that I cut into several lengths, because I need one of these that's quite a lot longer. The thing is that if I set this up on here, if I want to cut a thread down this end of a piece of stuff, which I often do, this is too short, see? So this could quite easily have one that's $100mm longer. I don't think this is going to give up. I really don't think that this is the, to be honest, I don't think this is the weak point, right? This has got a ball that's printed into one side, another side just clips over it. I think this is really strong. It might fail over time and you might have to get it out. You can put a spanner on that and not bust it, right? Unless something catches, and it's not going to break there, because in here, in the gearbox, there's a safety plastic key in here. It's tiny. So if anything's going to bust, that's where it's going to bust, right? Fingers crossed. I like this cleaned up so it works. I've drilled this hole and I sort of stuffed the hole up, to be honest. I'm not really impressed with that as a... Oops. Not really impressed with that as a system. I've just 3D printed the pin to go in there and do the job, and I don't think it'll shear that either. But I was going to put a pin in there and then a spring detent in the other side, just in the groove to click into it. So when you push it on, it clicks in. I don't like that much. I think if we could use a pin that drops in on a spring clip, that might be really good. A steel pin, and then that would work, and it's nice and easy to work. Yeah, it needs an extension bar. If I could get a piece of, what I'm getting at is if I could get a nice piece of spline at the right price and print these up and make the ends from pretty decent, I'd make 2 or 3 and have a set of these. I don't like this much. Right? This sort of worked when it was on here. It doesn't work now. There's a bit of backlash in it for a start. I'm probably going to redo this end somehow. I don't know how. I really don't want it sticking out here any further than I've got to. I've lost the pin out of there. That used to have another pin in there that works on there as well. I don't like this much. I don't like this actuator system here. I think something better can be done. I really believe that something better can be done. This piece here is quite easily replaceable in the gearbox. This is the original piece here, and I've just put this collar on top of it. Not really in love with it. Looks ugly. It's got too much weight in it. Sticks out in the way. Just not nice. So if I could make another one of these and put on this end here somehow nicely, and then if I could use the same system on this end as this end, so that I've just got a universal system that I've only got to change this bit over and this end works. Maybe something like that. Don't know yet. But the dog clutch thing is sort of average. So I'm still thinking about that. They've given that quite a bit of thought in the last little while, but not excessively, because I've got other stuff to finish first. Anyway, still sort of working on that. But I think these are a winner. I really think these are excellent. I think this is from a radio controlled car company in Czech Republic. It's their last generation of universals for their radio control cars, like drivetrain universals, and they seem to stand up to anything. I've got one I printed and I put a spanner on it to bust it, and honestly with a 12-inch shifter on it I couldn't, so don't know. Anyway, on the hunt for a bit of spline. I'll couple of foot of it, and 2 or 3 nuts or sleeves to slide up and down on it. And if we can fit them inside a tube and fit these on each end, I think we'd have something that's pretty good. And we can put them in a box, and this piece here, or just clip on the end, or slide on the end, or lock on the end, or retain on the end, or whatever it does. And we'd have that finished. Then when that's finished, we can build a guard on the end of it, and if I make a box for it, and the job's done. And probably never live in this box, but all the bits will. Be nice to finish my set of change wheels in steel. Some of them are steel. Quite a lot of them are plastic, and they seem to stand up. Gee, don't know what else. Don't know. But I'm trying to get a coat of red paint on this weekend too. Maybe. If you have different lengths, how would you do a long thread? Would you ever do a long thread? What's the longest thread you ever do? Honestly, Peter. If you're going to do a thread from here to here, that's all right. I can only do a thread from here to here. The actual distance I've got. Right, longest thread I can do, longest part I can make is that. Right, if you put a ruler on it, it's about, oh my gosh, never really thought about it, but there you go. It's about 118 mil, something like that. Longest thread we can do on this lathe. So, because this doesn't actually move, this is basically just a setup. So if I've got to do a 20 mil thread and I've got to move this much closer to do it, it's not a big deal. Or if I've got to move it that way, another 20 mil to do it, it's not a big deal either. So really you only need a couple of set lengths. You need a short one and a longer one, probably would do most of the job. If I had the bits to make a in between one too, when we think about it. If we're not going to be spinning a bit of stuff much longer than this to machine it, because it hasn't got the horsepower. So that's how it works. I like this at Universal too, because when we finally get the bits done for this, which I'm not really happy with it yet, which is why nothing's happened. That'll clear nicely there. It'll all look good. So that's how that works. Anyway, other thing I did yesterday, a moment of weakness, was pulled all this apart and fixed the backlash problem. It was starting to feel a bit wandery. I wasn't really happy with it. A bit worried about it after a bit of heavy machining on that bell and stuff on the whistle. All that was wrong with this bottom slide is that this screw in the front was loose. So fix that. That's back to about that much backlash anyway, how it should be. If you can see that, that's 0.04 of a millimetre, something like that. This one had some issues. So I pulled it apart and cleaned it all up because it was mostly full of dirt. And the nut on the lead screw nut, the nut on the screw that bolts on here was loose on the casting, so it had a bit of slop in it. Tighten all that up, and we've got, what have we got? Back fashion, that's about 0.02, something like that, of a millimetre. So it's back where it should be. Pretty happy with that. Dean Biscuits, you're dead right. Tap and die or whatever will do the job. Even if you start it with this and run a tap or a die over it or whatever. But this is a nice thing for smaller threads, and that's really what it's for. So sorted this out, pulled all this apart and cleaned it, put it back together. Had a bit of a think about this here, because I'm not really happy with the shape of it or what it does or how it works, or the amount that it sticks out. It does tend to hit the laser jaw very easily when you're boring into the centre of something. Russell, hello. Welcome to chat. Welcome to this crazy live stream that doesn't actually, there's not a lot happening, but here we go. Don't know about this. Still don't know. Ideally, I'd like something that goes all the way through this piece so that when this comes up, it pushes a button on the inside and disengages the dog clutch or something like that. I'm still thinking about it. Thanks, Russell. That's really nice. There is a half-decent silver solder video out there on my channel, I think. I haven't watched it for a long time, but at that point, everyone was doing silver soldering videos and no one really had any relevant information, so I just made one. And people still watch it, don't know why, but there you go. Anyway, got to fix that. Got to fix this. Got to fix the bits in between. Got to fix this. Got to finish that down there, the guard. Got a few noises in here. I think we've got a loose belt down the bottom. This has done a fair bit of work. I'd like to go through it and clean everything up, dismantle it and sort it all out and tighten everything up. Get it all sorted. That's try and get one job done on it every week. I think that's probably the plan. TMB, exactly right. This is quite a bit smaller down there, and it's got a bolt through it with a cap on the end, and it's got a breakaway key in it as well, as far as the design goes. I don't like this. I've said that 12 times or something this stream, and every time I look at it I think I don't really like that. Team Biscuits, I believe that we may have someone. I've got to get the thing out and chase it up. It's a big job and I'm trying not to procrastinate it. But get this pump ready first and we'll think about that next. I don't really want to pull it apart before I get some of the other bits back together. That's where I'm at. Try not to get too much of it apart at once. If I can get this pump back on, oiler's back on, screw that back on, we can start thinking about the next bit. On the irons on the canopy back on. They're the jobs we're working on at the moment. Anyway, I've bored you all silly again with all this stuff. I don't know if you've actually learned anything or anything. I'm pretty sure I don't, but it's really nice to talk about it and to actually get some of this stuff straight on live stream. Is really good to go over it in my head out loud rather than just thinking around in circles all the time like I tend to. So it's very helpful that you're all here listening, because even some of you are participating, which is great. I think we're on a winner with this. Get that sorted. one of them. Probably test them. I know this is going to be better. This pump's going to be better than it was. I'd like to find out if it leaks. The issue with the old ones is that they've got a rock on here, see? And I'd say if they sit flat on the seat at least some of the way around there, they're going to be better than what they were. This is all worn in the bottom here. And they've been banging up and down so much that they're built out here. Like this is, if you have a look, this is quite sharp here. Shouldn't be like that on the end because they've just been thumping on here. From what I've learnt in the last few years, buy yourself a milling machine because you can do most things on a milling machine before you even get a lathe. That's terrible, but I think the milling machine's more useful. But yeah, buy a decent lathe and don't buy a worn out Myford. Buy something half decent and something will turn up. Put it out there in the universe, it'll turn up. And milling machine's nice. It's a second, I guess. No room is the problem. That's exactly right. But on a decent lathe with a vertical slide or I mean, before I had a mill, and you can grip a piece in here and machine it with a cutter in the lathe. That works. Like if you're going to take care, Bill. Good to see you. You take care. If you've got a small piece here, like if you wanted to machine, say, let's have a look and see what we've got here that needs machining. Probably a dozen small pieces. Have they been machined? No. Here's a conrod, right? If you want to machine that up, file that up and grip it in there, you can machine that, bore it, all those sort of things in a lathe without any problems. And both ends, probably, if you really know what you're doing. And you can turn the tool post around and you can machine that end too. Or you can put it in the four-jaw and machine that end. Get the two faces fitted nicely. This is on my list of things I need to do. Hasn't happened. So there's more than one way to skin a cat, I guess. And a little vertical slide on here is not a bad idea. And then you put a vise on it and you can do all that sort of work. But something with T-slots in here, bigger job, you can clamp down on the T-slots and bore it between centres or face it. So if you've got a part and you think, I haven't got the tools to do it, have a think about it, because you probably do have the tools to do it. You just haven't really thought about it in that way. All these jobs I haven't got the tools to do. Like, seriously. This is a project we're working on and it hasn't ever happened because it's getting there, but it needs a bit of work still. I haven't got most of the bits or the skills to do that, if I'm honest. That's a bit of a cow. Yeah, you get some safety glasses, isn't a bad idea. I have not really got what it takes. But I can sort of worry my way through big things like this steam engine. And over about 6 or 7 years of messing around with castings, I can probably cast up a couple of these that are going to be alright, or one of them. These are alright. Grinder and needle files work. Absolutely. make you all dizzy. This is a pretty tight thread, to be honest. Don't know why that is, but it does screw on. It'd be a bit of a... So... That's what they look like. Probably every time I screw them in, they get a bit better because I'm sort of... The old joint and paste and stuff's coming out of that thread. But they screw on. If no one saw them before, that's lawn sprinkler spring. Fits down over there. There's no wicks in them yet. There's a little brass thing with a hole in the bottom. See, that's got a bit sticking up and a hole there. That goes on there. And this has got a different taper to that, according to the drawing, and a thread. So, there's a half reasonable chance that I'll be able to screw this on without it flying out. So, there we go. That's how they work. But milling machine makes this job easier, but probably you could get by these with a you get by this with a lathe without any problems. If I had never had a milling machine to put that hex on, probably I'd mill it in the lathe, all right. But I probably would have got them cast. File clean up the file. Wicks, this is what was in it, and they're a bit minced up. It's just a brass wire with a bit of worsted wool. These aren't going back in because by the time I untangle this, it's a bit ordinary. I think size, Team Biscuits, probably helps with that. I know these work. But basically it's just a copper wire with a piece of wool wrapped around, like strands of wool. It goes down the tube and back into the into there, and then they seem to wick okay. This has got a bit of a bend in it, so I'll probably use this wire again, but these might untangle and go in there again, I don't know. Have a bit of a play with them. So that's where we're at. So it's been an awesome week, really. It's great to catch up with Matt, finally meet him. Looks like he's having fun in Australia. I apologise for Dan's road, but it was really awesome that he made the trip. Hope we didn't disappoint too much. We never had anything in steam, but we did have some fun, I think, and Dan cooked up a feed of curry sausages, and they weren't terrible. Apart from that, I've done a lot of driving, like about 700 kilometres, something like that. And I've got some bits done. So really, it's been productive when I think about it. Not doing too bad. These have got quite a big hole too, whereas I guess your oil is probably as big as that hole, and that's not an easy thing. So I don't think size scales very well with viscosity oil and stuff. Anyway, guys, I might call it. I'm going to go to bed soon. I'm sort of got to go back to work tomorrow. I'm not feeling it at all. I'm glad I had today just to crash for a bit because I was up most of the night with a tummy ache. I don't know why. And yeah, apart from that, I've not been really productive today. I've had the 3D printer going all day, and that's kind of about it. Anyway, thanks guys. Thanks for joining in. Really appreciate it. Mark's got a live stream Thursday night. I don't always make it to the start because Thursday night's a difficult night for me, but I'll be there. Try and be there. Probably something like that, yeah. Travel safe, Mats. Looks like you're back down in New South Wales on the way home. Keep safe in some of those outback towns. Don't pump petrol without your rifle on the mudguard and stuff like that. I'm gonna keep pushing on and making some progress with these bits. Probably going to draw this up. I'm not going to print any more bits tonight, but I'm probably going to fix this where it's tight. Spend half an hour drawing this. Very pleased to have these finished and back on the roller. Be awesome. And I should get on with this too. But anyway, be kind to each other, including to me, and yeah, go out and make some stuff. Stuart's running out of excuses. He's getting all the tools. All he's got to do is get up and make stuff. That probably goes for all of you. Anyway, I don't feel like I've been sitting around this weekend. And big thanks, guys. I'm out anyway. We'll catch you next time.